2025 was another incredible year for video game discoveries. So amazing that people who uncovered them deserve an award. Speaking of which, I'm excited to announce the first limited collectible I've done in years. You can get your hands on one of these buildable figures yourself, as they're available for pre-order right now at buildables.com/oddheader, but only for a few weeks until February 1st, and then it's gone for good. I haven't released a collectible in so long because I want each one to be truly special, which is why I partnered with Buildables to release this buildable figure, because what could be cooler than this? It's made up of more than 160 pieces, and Mrs. Odd and I had fun putting it together in about an hour, and the finished figure looks perfect on the shelf. Buildables really went above and beyond to make this truly unique and super high quality. And again, it will only be available until February 1st. So if you're thinking about getting one, be sure to secure it now at buildables.com/oddheader. That's BLDBLZ.com/oddheader. Now on to the best discoveries of the year. Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. Thanks to Billy J and Rhoda Haque for submitting this discovery through oddheader.com. The Wrath of Cortex released in 2001, the first main installment in the Crash Bandicoot series that wasn't produced by Naughty Dog. And apparently, it was also the first Crash game to pay homage to an actual Naughty Dog. As on the level Tsunami, there's a hidden message on the awnings of these buildings that probably didn't catch players' attention when the game first released on the PlayStation 2, due to the lower resolution graphics and fuzzier images of CRTs of the day. However, by emulating the game on a modern PC with better graphics, Billy J noticed that the text that's made to look like Asian characters is actually a sideways message, which reads, "Big Dog's c***." Wow. Somebody must have had a big dog's c*** to think they could get away with this in an E-rated game. And as far as we know, they did at least get away with it, as Billy J is the first person to have documented this discovery when they were playing the game this year, meaning this message was likely hidden in the Wrath of Cortex for 23 years. And speaking of crazy messages recently found in PlayStation 2 games, DogeBuddha made a similar discovery in The Adventures of Cookie and Cream. The 2000 game was unique for featuring two bunnies players can control at the same time, and also car enemies with a single license plate that says which DogeBuddha only noticed this year as well when upscaling the game with a PlayStation 2 emulator 25 years after the game's release. Well, didn't expect that. It could be said this message went unnoticed for so long because the game was a huge flop. But then again, Wrath of Cortex was a huge hit, meaning this big dog's went unnoticed by millions of players who never even realized it was right in front of their faces. Bubsy 4D. Thanks to TheGeekySkunkGamer for submitting this discovery on the Oddheader Discord. Bubsy 4D is a platformer set to be released next year as a follow-up to Bubsy 3D from 1996. Not that Bubsy 3D was a game that fans were begging for a follow-up to. While it was one of the first 3D platformers ever, it's also remembered as one of the worst ever, with the game's tin controls and awkward camera that made it hard to move Bubsy anywhere. And most players forgot about Bubsy in favor of Super Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot, both of which released the same year. However, an Easter egg found in the Bubsy 4D demo could make the return of the series more memorable, as N64 Josh was playing the demo at PAX West this year when he canceled a cutscene of Bubsy putting on his shirt, and as a result, the game ended up loading Bubsy, well, bub-ass naked in the next scene, with a sensor covering his bottom half. Not that a sensor's really needed, considering he normally doesn't wear pants to begin with. Congratulations to Josh for finding the first Easter egg in a demo at a game convention that I've covered on this channel, and for potentially creating the Easter egg in the first place, as the developers seemed quite keen on keeping it in the game after he found it.
We should leave that in. We should.
Potentially suggesting that it was never meant to be found. Sure enough, the same trick can still be achieved in the demo version out now on Steam, though it goes away as soon as you start a level. Damn. Mortal Kombat 1. The Mortal Kombat series is known for its long history of secret characters, as well as a long list of secret characters that turned out to be bold. For some time, players wondered about a supposed ninja character named Pink Floyd that series director Ed Boon had been teasing for years. Soon after the game released in 2023, data miner The Thinny found evidence of a pink ninja character named Floyd in the files, including a counter that kept track of how many times he'd been defeated, though no character model could be found at the time. And back when I covered the egg last year, all players knew about Floyd was that he was an obvious reference to the rock band, kinda like the Purple Ninja Rain, who's a clear reference to Prince. However, players still had no idea how to unlock Floyd, and had become comfortably numb waiting for more to be revealed, until Conan the Barbarian was added to the game earlier this year. After this update, the Thinny discovered there are 37 secret challenges that can unlock a secret fight with Floyd, such as taunting 4 times in a fight or winning a match using only kicks. Which of these challenges you have to complete is randomized and different for every player, though you'll know you're getting close when you complete some of them and see a notification for Floyd on screen, along with a guitar riff. Once you complete 10 of these challenges, Floyd finally shows up in the flesh. For fans of Pink Floyd, the ninja character doesn't disappoint, as he can summon a rainbow-colored attack called the Wall, and has a spear attack named Wish You Were Here. Well, thanks to the Finny for finally figuring out how to unlock this secret fight, and to Floyd for perhaps giving us the happiest days of our lives searching for this Easter egg. E.T. Interplanetary Mission. Thanks to LewisJFC for submitting this discovery through the Oddheader Discord, and 40ounce Gorilla for additional research. Interplanetary Mission is a 2002 PlayStation Windows game based on the Steven Spielberg movie, not to be confused with the infamous 1982 E.T. game for Atari that was so bad, unsold copies were rumored to be buried in a landfill in New Mexico because nobody wanted them, which was actually proven true in the 2013 documentary Atari Game Over. Though this game's not that great either, though it probably would have been just as infamous if players known about an Easter egg that was found this year, as Bo Bale's Annex was reverse engineering the game when they discovered if you start a new game, collect the first 4 flowers, quit the game, go to the options menu, press R2 R1 L2 L1, you'll get a credits option that otherwise doesn't normally appear unless you do this, which ends with a message that says "F off Bin Laden." Good to know that E.T. is a proud American. With the game being released a year after 9/11, and considering the rest of the world largely felt the same way at the time, maybe they would have been forgiven for hiding this in an E-rated game, had anyone found the message 23 years earlier. However, Bin Laden wasn't the only one the developers wanted to f off, as the game's senior programmer Diego Link told Bo Bales the developers were forbidden from featuring any credits because of excuses like potential conflicts with the Spielberg license. This obviously irritated them, so as a way to get back at the publisher, they hid the credit screen as an Easter egg and included the explicit message as an extra "f you." As to why they included the message "f off Bin Laden," Diego explains it was just a sentiment of the time in 2002, and also because "f Bin Laden." Gauntlet of IRE. Thanks to YDarb101 for submitting this discovery through Oddheader.com. Gauntlet of IRE released in 2017, where your objective is to roll the ball to the end of each level. However, don't be fooled by the simplicity here, as it's actually a rage game designed to frustrate players as much as possible, as the game does its best to drive players crazy, changing the course as you're playing it and throwing in all kinds of tricks and references to other games.
It starts.
All set to music that appears to be designed to drive you insane the more you hear it. However, players are still baffled by the game's creepy level 7, where the music is slowed down and distorted, and players receive depressing messages about death and mortality each time they die, with a chance they'll respond on a black screen, which reveals a hanging body added to the level, and a message that reads, "Ashley, my child, forgive me. I just couldn't help myself." Huh. Strangely, that's not the only thing players are still trying to make sense of in this game, as there was a mysterious achievement in the game that no one had managed to unlock for years, which was appropriately titled Game Secret. No one could figure out much about the game secret or how to unlock it, as the icon was just a strip of bacon, and its description said "Find the Game Secret." However, after 7 years of searching, players finally got an answer, as just this year, YDarb101 finally confirmed what the secret achievement was, by just entering the Konami code. Yep, all those years of searching and refraining from pulling their hair out long enough to get through 49 levels and whatever the this is, just to find out they could have entered the Konami code the entire time. And if this seems like deja vu to you, it's because players made a similar discovery last year in Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, as they found a variation of the Konami code unlocked all playable characters from the start of the game that no one thought to try for 24 years. Let this be another reminder to all Easter egg hunters out there. The Konami code should always be the first thing that you try. Though what the Konami code has to do with bacon remains a mystery. Tower Unite. Thanks to Roberette for submitting this discovery on the Oddheader Discord. Tower Unite finally officially released this year as a virtual world party game where players can hang out and play mini-games together. Back when the game was in early access, I covered it for mysterious humanoid spider plush data miners found in the files of the game, which appeared to be the exact opposite of cute and cuddly. Evidently, the developers didn't originally intend to officially add the creepy plush to the game. However, they apparently changed their minds, as the man spider appeared during the seasonal Easter event, where players can collect literal Easter eggs with prizes in them in the game's plaza, which gave lucky players a chance of opening it up and finding the man spider inside. And to answer all of our questions about this mysterious creature once and for all, the developers named the item Undefined 27, with a description that reads, "Once it finds you, you can't get rid of it," which seems fitting, as I'd expect nothing less of an object that looks like that. And if that's not weird enough, the Undefined 27 man spider makes this sound when you squeeze it. Roberette got the man spider from the golden egg and told one of Tower Unite's developers, MacD Guy, when they saw them in the game's plaza. MacD Guy then asked if they had seen the boardwalk thing and led Roberette to an area near the game's boardwalk where if you drink a potion and make yourself tiny, you can enter this secret little cubby with some mice and cheese. But apparently, that's not the only thing hiding in this hole, as if you look closely, you can see the man spider in the hole briefly, who disappears as soon as you enter and reappears once you leave. Of all the questions I had about this mysterious plush, the only one this seemingly answers is that apparently he likes cheese. Guess we'll have to wait around for more developers to hang out in the plaza again to get more answers about this man spider. Freestyle MetalX. Thanks to SlyCooperReloadCoded for submitting this discovery on the Oddheader Discord. Freestyle MetalX is a 2003 metal-themed motorbike stunt game that can be described as the closest thing to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on a motorbike. This year, players on RetroAchievements.org looking for unfound collectibles in the game found more than they were expecting when SlyCooperReloadCoded lent them a hand and started looking through the data, and found a roster for all of the game's characters. That's when SlyCooperReloadCoded noticed only one character was designated in the data to be hidden from the character select screen. A character evidently named Britney Spears. Right, because there's no one more metal than Britney Spears. It's unknown why Britney Spears is in the data of Freestyle MetalX, though she was certainly a popular figure to make fun of at the time. SlyCooperReloadCoded reports there's no character models or textures to be found with the character Britney Spears, but says there are recorded voice lines in the game data for the character. The unfortunate thing is no one's been able to open the files, so we have no idea what Britney Spears actually sounds like. If anyone's willing to take a crack at it, it would be great to finally release the Britney files that have been in Freestyle MetalX for over 22 years. Free Britney. Donkey Kong. The original Donkey Kong game that started it all released in 1981 for arcades, and in the 44 years since the game came out, no one has ever been able to get past level 22, as it's been impossible to get past the 130th stage without running out of time. It was suggested for some time among speedrunners that the game's kill screen could possibly be bypassed with the ladder glitch, which allows Mario to climb in the air if the player holds up or down on a ladder and then just at the right millisecond switches directions on the last frame of the climbing animation over and over, which is obviously an incredibly challenging proposition. This theory came up again recently on the Donkey Kong speedrunning Discord, and speedrunner Cosmic shot down the idea as impossible. Cosmic decided to prove that it couldn't be done, and booted up the original arcade game on an emulator on PC, using emulator tools to jump to the stage where the game normally ends with a game save he had, and automatically performed the button presses for the ladder glitch with perfect timing. Cosmic was sure there still wasn't enough time for the glitch to work, but to their surprise, without expecting to do so, Cosmic managed to be the first person in 44 years to get past level 22. How Cosmic managed to do this shocked even himself. Through investigation with other members of the speedrunning community, Cosmic believes it only worked because he got incredibly lucky and that this couldn't easily be replicated. According to Cosmic, in his research with community member Sockmaster, the game timer is tied to Donkey Kong's barrel throws and decreases each time Donkey Kong throws one, and there appears to be a 1 in 32 chance that enough delay intervals can occur between Donkey Kong's throws to theoretically have enough time to complete the level with the ladder glitch, which is what Cosmic believes happened when he managed to do it. But even with the incredible luck of having the rare allotment of time to actually pull off the glitch, Cosmic still only managed to do this because he used emulator tools to jump to the level and automate the inputs for the ladder glitch with possibly inhuman speed and precision. Because of this, Cosmic believes accomplishing this on an actual arcade cabinet is likely impossible, given the incredible circumstance, speed, and skill required to pull this off with an actual joystick, but that's not going to stop us from trying anyway. Windows 3D Maze. If you're like me, you may remember this iconic Windows screensaver that came with the operating system from Windows 95 until Windows Millennium, which was released in 2000. This mesmerizing screensaver was easy to get lost in every time the computer went to sleep, as you watched the computer by itself try to navigate the maze, encountering rats, smiley faces, and this rotating untextured polygon that flipped the maze upside down. Many kids like me, especially those that didn't grow up with a lot of computer games, desperately wished there was a way to take control of the screensaver and navigate the maze for ourselves. Well, x86 Matthew is one of these kids as well, and decided this year, 30 years after the original screensaver was released, to figure out if there was a way to control the maze. x86 Matthew found by reverse engineering the screensaver, there was indeed actual logic for a fully coded game. It's just that the inputs for the game were controlled by the computer. x86 Matthew made a simple mod that altered the game inputs so they can be controlled by the user keyboard, and sure enough, the screensaver was now completely playable, making many childhood dreams like mine come true after all of these years. Since all Matthew had to do was alter the game inputs to be controlled by the keyboard instead of the computer, it kinda makes you wonder why no one's ever tried this before, especially considering there's been many fan-made projects through the years that have recreated the maze and game engines to make it playable, when all along all they had to do was slightly mod the screensaver logic. But then again, some of the greatest discoveries are also the simplest. Now I would say this is one hell of a discovery, but considering the circumstances, I'm going to have to call it one of the most amazing discoveries of the year. Inside. Inside has been out since 2016, yet it has numerous mysteries that still remain unsolved. I covered some of these mysteries back when I talked about the game in 2020, and since then, we've barely solved jack. The last update to any of the mysteries came 4 years ago, when players figured out one of the passcodes for the game's ARG connected to this printer in the background. The printer gave different Morse code messages depending on which console you were playing on. These messages could then be translated into new passcodes. After the developer Playdead added a printer icon to their website, players could type in the solved codes and get more ciphers and cryptic images. Players could also submit their email, which led to an upcoming YouTube stream that never went live. Players solved the last passcode for the PS4 and PC versions in 2021, yet it's still unknown what the deal was with the live stream, and the printer icon has since been taken down from Playdead's website. Some other mysteries that are still unsolved include this dark room, where one of the photos develops into a picture of another location in the game if you wait long enough, some ciphers on the test chambers, and most mysteriously, evidence for a secret elevator in the date of the game, which appears to be located underneath the cornfield. However, this secret elevator still hasn't been found. When I last left off the mystery, the only update Playdead seemed to be giving was a series of repeating symbols on the packaging of the collector's edition of Inside. But as I predicted, many players opened up the game and threw away the packaging not knowing it was part of the mystery, so Inside fans only have a fraction of them documented. And since most collectors probably don't want to decrease the value of their sealed copies by opening them, this looks like yet another mystery that may never be solved. However, just this year, adding to the list of endless mysteries, ghaith submitted another discovery on the Oddheader Discord. Minor spoiler alert, in the main path of the game, the boy eventually gets absorbed by this mysterious blob thing and never re-emerges again. However, ghaith recently found a way to trigger an animation that's never been seen before by hacking the game, which shows the blob spitting the boy out. This opens up many larger implications. Both of the known endings to the game are considered inconclusive, and many have speculated for years that there's another ending in the game, particularly based on evidence of the secret elevator in the cornfield. ghaith's discovery seems to suggest there could be another possible path where the boy can escape from the creature. While it's ultimately unknown the true purpose behind the animation, it is yet another unexplainable discovery that suggests there's more to Inside than we're aware of. In fact, there's so many unsolved pieces to Inside, it may be worth taking an inside look into all of its mysteries with its own dedicated video. If that's something you'd like to see, let me know down below, as this will surely be a mystery that will continue to unravel for many more years until we finally get some sort of answer. Until then, stay odd. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and if you know of any other discoveries that you think I may have missed, submit through oddheader.com, come join the Discord, or even send me a shout through Twitter or Reddit. Shout out to Aaron Johnston, Angel the Fox, Ash Photography, Bitwith27, Black EV50, Chad Biscuits, Eddie Talkspin the Bleach Primid, Flex, Jailbreak, Isaac Murillo, Kieran Bolton, The Meatly, Phoenix157, Rackman22, Riley S, Robert Eisen, Select, Subrock, T1 Lemon God, and Terrence Stock for their Patreon support. Stay tuned.